Hi everyone, it's Sunday the 9th, I think, of June 2013. This talk is called Beyond Conspiracy Theory, because it's a place where I'm at now, and I just want to try and rationalize from a psychology point of view why so many people fall into the cult of conspiracy theory, and it is a dangerous cult, and what they can do to get out of it. The science and quantum mechanics and all the mathematically proven points in quantum mechanics show that there is a superstring, infinite potentiality source field behind all matter, and there are strong arguments to suggest that the entire source field is one gigantic consciousness, which is why throughout history we have used the old terms such as spirituality or God or multiple gods, what is it? The opposite of, not opposite of monotheism, but believing like the Greeks and Romans did, and the Hindus, that there are many gods. And what conspiracy theorists do is they mistake the movement of energy in this source field, which ends up moving people, it moves ideas, it moves warfare, it moves ideologies, it pumps people full of hatred, or the opposite, full of love, and makes them do incredible things. And conspiracy theorists talk about this thing of waking up, or no longer being a sheep, a member of the sheeple class. And there is a deep narcissism involved in that, because suddenly you become Neo from the Matrix, and you have access to behind the scenes the Matrix, to the real world. And you see world events like 9/11, 7/7, the Boston bombings, the Woolwich attempted beheading, the stabbiness. You see all these things as being orchestrated at the highest levels, and indeed they are. Everything's being orchestrated, but not at the highest levels, at the smallest levels, at the unified field, which is a theory backed up by science and maths. It's very tempting to extrapolate the bigger picture, the superorganism, and you do see the world kind of moving. And was the economic crash all done on purpose? Are we evolving in a way which needed finances to collapse? Is the kind of fear reaction after all the terrorism of the early 2000s, is that all organized at the highest levels? And really, human beings are sprouting from this planet like apples sprout from an apple tree, to paraphrase the philosopher Alan Watts. And much like the apple doesn't choose the nutrition going in at the roots, or the fertilizers or the sunshine that it may get. Lovely day today, huh? People, human beings, don't get to choose what bubbles up from beneath the surface in the unified quantum field of infinite potentiality. And if you look into this, and please look into Stuart Hammeroff, Penrose, Sir Roger Penrose, it's nice to see a man knighted by the Queen, little sword on the shoulder, now tearing the whole scientism field apart. The reductionist materialist field is being torn apart by incredible scientists. Look at Sheldrake, but Robert Lanza is the one that really gets my attention right now for his biocentric view of the universe. And this couples in with some reading I've been doing by the journalist Will Storr, who managed to upset David Icke so much that he had to do a big statement and pump Will Storr's face. Will Storr is a gentle and rational and empathetic individual who has spent a lot of time with the irrational and with cults and with, counterculture groups. And he is not, as David Icke claims, a priest of scientism. He is not trying to destroy alternative theories. Will says that, I spoke to him about Sheldrake and stuff, and he says that reality is so profoundly strange that no one has an absolute grasp on it yet. And I think the metaphor he used was showing a television HD image or movement to a dog, a very clever dog, and asking that dog to explain the intricate workings of a TV set. Plasma, connections, HDMI, the dog wouldn't be able to do this. And human beings as we are in 2013, perhaps we cannot, with our semantic prison, explain where we are. But the reason why I fell into the irrationality of conspiracy theory And as Will Storr talks about in his book Heretics, I'm only 60 pages in, so this is not a review, is that reason and logic and truth are truly slaves of the emotions, as David Hume said in the 1700s. And reason does not work when you're dealing with members of a cult or with conspiracy theorists, because it's not about evidence, it's not about truth. It's about holding a kind of tribal head of feathers or a tribal scar like you see African guys sometimes have, or it's a tribal Maori tattoo. So unreason, the irrationality of it, the belief, the subgroup's belief is what holds it together. The pack is held together by hierarchy and a belief in something. It doesn't need to be real. So who believes in this, you're in this group. If you don't believe in this, you're in that group. And this also explains all the violent threats, the death threats, and the ongoing, it's 2 years later now, exactly 2 years, and the ongoing terror of the conspiracy theory movement to try and make me stop making videos. And if I can say one thing, I am able to rationalize the incredible abuse I still receive on each video, but it's no big deal. My jimmies remain unrustled because the subscriber numbers are shooting up, the viewership is shooting up, and I'm getting a lot of new subscribers from reasonable places and people who are not conspiracy theorists. And I'd like to thank Mo Patel for the wonderful documentary he made, and also Myles for doing a part 1 of interview with an ex-truther. And if you just look at those videos, you'll see that there isn't this incredible hater response in the comments section, because they're dealing with completely different groups of people. In Myles' case, scientists, skeptics, atheists, and in Mo Patel's case, with film students and documentary makers. And it's very difficult sometimes when you're deep within a cult or within a group which uses unreason and hierarchy and pressure to conform, to think that there is a world outside of that. But I can promise everyone watching this, and I don't want to preach to the converted, I am at the moment speaking to conspiracy theorists. And don't get me wrong, there are really nice and friendly conspiracy theorists. And just because people believe in unreasonable, irrational things does not make them bad. It only becomes bad when they use violence and threaten violence to defend their subgroup. So, belief is a badge that you wear to describe what tribe or cult you're in. Islam has its beliefs, Catholicism has its beliefs, and the conspiracy theorists have their beliefs. And I have been obviously watching the Bilderberg videos, some very good reports documenting what's happening there each day. The media frenzy is incredible, and it's almost like a version of Bertrand Russell's Panopticon. You could probably put all the different videos that everyone's taking at Bilderberg and create a kind of hyper-dimensional 3D... No. How could it be hyper-dimensional if you're then saying there's 3 dimensions? A hyper-dimensional 12-dimension view of the thing, which is kind of the opposite of everyone wishing to remain anonymous. But anyway, you're all getting searched and scanned, and all your drugs and alcohol getting taken off you, so I guess it's not a party, you just have to sit there. But where am I going with this? Yes, beyond conspiracy theory, there is a world out there, and I just want to say that the real truth movement, the only truth movement is science, is the empirical method of science. And I can understand why hundreds of years ago, intelligent, rational people surrounded by hysteria and madness and false beliefs and beliefs in devils and gods and strange things came up with an empirical method to separate the wheat from the chaff, the reason from the bollocks. And so the truth movement is science. And what we call the so-called truth movement at the moment is it's a conspiracy theory cult. And so anyone wishing to leave, please do, with an open mind, look at many of the debunking videos. Do look at, presentations by other people, because what we're having now in activism, we are seeing a schism. It's going into sectarian lines between conspiracy theory and the kind of irrational madness of it, it's infecting true activism or rational activism, or people trying to make a difference without going into madness, like Noam Chomsky, John Pilger, Julian Assange, for example. Although I can understand that being in the Ecuadorian embassy for now a year can make you a bit poor guy. But you'll find, my dear conspiracy theorists, that most activism, most people that have changed the world, most resistance groups have not been riddled with conspiracy theory. And so the sectarian nature now, we need to try and ensure that we separate conspiracy theory, which is a hobby. It's a Dungeons and Dragons in real life, and it's not designed to actually change anything, which is why InfoWars now, 15 years running, they're still fighting the New World Order. Or David Icke has released now 25 books. They all seem to be a kind of rewrite of the last one. I've read about 3 or 4 of them. They all very similar, but really when you understand that conspiracy theory, like many other subcultures, is cosplayers, you're costume players, you're doing WWF wrestling in real life, and The Rock would be Alex Jones, and I can't think of a wrestler because I used to watch wrestling in the 80s. So for anyone my age, 32, early 30s, you'll probably remember The Undertaker or Randy Man Savage or the British Bulldogs. Oh yeah, David Icke is the British Bulldog. And the fighting, you see, the activism is not real activism. Anyway, don't be alarmed by the horrific comments underneath this video or in my other videos. These are the lashings out of people who they have to lash out and do ad hominem attacks and try and hurt me because they're very defensive and there's something about me which they know deep down that I'm right. Because if I weren't right, I could easily be ignored. Anyway, on that note, we ignore you anyway. Just like to say thank you to all the lovers, to all the unsung heroes around the world that look after the elderly, the disabled. They show love, unconditional love. There's no such power that can ever compare to unconditional love, and it's just a pity that with so much love we see in the world, it comes with conditions, such as you fucking preach what we fucking believe in, or you're out. Anyway, lots of love. Bye.